Rainbow 6. Experts in close quarters battle and hostage rescue. Assembled from special forces teams around the world. The counter-terrorism units.
Codename Iana, Team Rainbow. There's a lot of intel we can share with each other.
Ninkamea, codename Iana. Member of Team Rainbow who are temporarily working with Rhodes Island. Specialized in intel gathering, and an explorer at heart. Iana will sometimes help us in a mission, by using her intellect, strange guns, and holographic device, called Gemini Replicator. That strangely doesn't use any originium. In her time collaborating with Rhodes Island, we have noticed that compared to her teammates, Iana shows a far bigger curiosity to pretty much anything from this world that is different than hers. Especially when it comes to astronomy. Through Rhodes' physical exams, we also learned that Iana's pale white skin and hair color is the result of her rare genetic condition. Iana explained that because of her unusual appearance, growing up wasn't exactly easy. But in her words, this hardship only fostered her self-assurance. Alright, Iana from Siege is our newest 5-star dollkeeper specialist. A ground unit that when defeated, will swap with their clone or substitute. And after some time, they will swap back to their base version. With whoever is getting switched, will normally have bigger aggro. Like when you deploy a new unit. But remember, if the substitute is defeated, the unit will instantly get benched. Personally, I kinda see this archetype as jack of all trades. To be used as a traditional lane holder with healer support. Become a bait, or maybe even solo a lane. However, likely because Iana is reflecting her original version in Siege. Compared to other dollkeepers, Iana is quite different. But we'll talk more about it in her talent section later. So, this is her general stats. Got an average ground unit attack and offensive stats, and with a pretty cheap cost. Although one thing to note about Iana. Because of how her talent plays, you cannot really use her as a blocker. And then this is her talent, and what makes her unique. Straight up reflecting her original version. What you first deploy is actually Iana's hologram. Despite its stats, it will not attack, and will instantly get defeated after it receives a single hit. And only if it's from the enemy as far as I'm aware. Because the hologram won't swap if it gets damaged from environmental damage. Anyway, once gone, the hologram will swap with the real Iana. That normally has the same stats as a hologram, but has 0 blocks, and wider range. And the enemy who first attacks the hologram will get a fragile effect. And if there's any, their invisibility will be removed for a few seconds. And Iana will start using her skills. Becoming the first dollkeeper whose skill is activated in the substitute form. And while it is not said anywhere, but Iana can actually hit aerial units. Because she uses guns, I suppose. Thank God for the Second Amendment. This also officially makes her the second dollkeeper who can hit aerial units after Benna. And also the most reliable to counter them too. Overall, an interesting talent. But I can't ignore some of its drawback. Like how it erases Iana's lane holding capability. Which somewhat makes her feel like an ambusher instead of a dollkeeper. Also, because she pretty much only has her substitute form. It makes her more vulnerable to be sent back to the lobby. The fragile and invisibility reveal is nice. But it's pretty difficult to inflict it on a certain enemy. Especially when your main target came with swarms. And sadly, the debuffs only last for a very short time. So if you want to take out strong enemies with it, someone with a strong burst skill like Black Knight S3 should be the best to synergize. Now this is her pot upgrade list. It will decrease her cost, redeployment time, giving small attack bonus, and the talent improvement will increase the fragile effect to 2%. Like most operators, it doesn't really have a significant impact on normal situations, so she's okay if you leave her without an extra pot. Then this is her module. She got X module, which means her substitute will get a permanent attack bonus, as well as increasing her attack and defense stats. For the upgrade, it doesn't add anything new. But on level 2, the fragility will be increased by 5%, and now the debuff will last for 10 seconds. And in level 3, it will increase the fragile effect again. Considering Iana's skill lacks any attack modifier, her module is important if you want to increase her overall damage. So if that's your goal, you can maximize this module. But if you only use her invisibility reveal, her S2 is pretty much more useful to do that than her talent. So I suppose even without module, Iana is fine for that job. Okay, let's see her skills. Skill 1 is a passive skill that will always active when the hologram swaps to Iana. And the skill will make her throw her frag grenade to the enemy, and dealing a pretty high physical AoE damage that can also hit aerial units. But while the damage is nice to inflict damage to armored enemies, sadly she will only do it once, and then stuck in her basic normal attack without any sort of buff for 20 seconds. Moreover, since this is a passive skill, this skill forces you to place Iana in a place where she will certainly get hit by enemies. Otherwise, you won't be able to use this skill. So pretty much everyone will skip this, and choose her S2. Now this is her skill 2. That you can activate when it's ready, or will be instantly used when it has enough SP, and the hologram swaps to Iana because it got attacked. The hologram will instantly swap with Iana, and the Dutch woman will now have invisibility and massive attack speed bonus, while also revealing every invisible enemy in her range. Thanks to the attack speed, Iana can clear low defense mobs easily with this. But still, without any attack modifier. Cease the thought of her ever going to defeat someone with B defense without buff. But pretty much the most useful thing from this skill is the invisibility reveal. That you can activate multiple times in a pretty short interval. But be careful when Iana swaps back to her hologram, because enemies can just one-hit the hologram, and Iana will be forced to go back to the field, cancelling that skill charge. Her skill mastery is not a priority, but definitely go for S2 to increase the attack speed bonus and decrease the cost from 6 to 5 at M3, which doesn't look much, but it could make a difference between a fail and success skill activation. Although if you only just use her as a radar and place her in a safe place, the skill at level 7 is already enough. As for her base skills, much like Ella, Iana will increase operator mastery training speed by plus 10%, which increased for every attacker in the base, caps at 4. Attacker include Iana herself, Fuze, Ash and Blitz. And if Iana is in reception, she will increase clue search speed, and further increase for every 1 intelligence reserve, which is provided from Ash's base skill. So ladies and gents, should you get and build Iana? Well, first of all, since she is most likely won't get back into the game, and you value limited characters, definitely go and get her. But to build her, it's not really necessary. She's honestly more of a fun and decent operator than the most effective gameplay wise. Her core value came from her invisible reveal, which is useful when the situation requires it, but you rarely find a stage or event where it is really needed. Not to mention there are already plenty of options for invisible reveal. Heck, even her debut event also comes with a module for Sentinel defenders that gave them permanent invisibility reveal. Also, the way her talent makes her only attack during substitute form is in itself already a big drawback. The way I see it, Iana will mostly be useful for new players to clear Arknights early chapters, where there's a good number of invisible enemies, and the enemies there aren't too tanky, but will likely struggle beyond chapter 6. That should be all. Adios.